Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Cimnanya, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. I am going to put what started the conversation so you all can see. And also, while the video is playing, you are definitely going to see how the conversation started. So it's a black person saying that white people, told themselves that black people were not human enough, so they could do like whatever they feel like doing, and also trying to tell us like life for slaves were a living. Like she was also trying to say like life for slaves were living here. You all remember that at some point, I mean, it was them trying to tell us that slavery benefited slaves and that life was good for slaves because they lived happily ever after, right? Now let's get into this. This one was actually saying that each time black people talk about what happened or what what they experienced during slavery and all that they are always very quick to hush black people up, right? Because they always say it's been a long time this happened, get over it. And she was born in 1974. I said 1970 something, and she knew like so many things even happened in her present and all that. 1970 something. It's how many years now, right? And now let's get into the fact that they always during the period that was happening on there is what they call lane and chain. I am sure this is not new for majority of us, but you can imagine it's like something that people have to dress up to go lane and chain somebody. You know what, let's get into this.
I want to thank this commenter because this was in response to the comment about how everybody had slaves over the centuries. What's the big deal? Get over it. Argument that I get all the time. In chattel slavery here in the United States was unlike a lot of what had been seen up until that point. In chattel slavery, you were owned until the day you died, and your offspring were also owned. There was no way out. You weren't working your way someplace else, or it wasn't like a sentence where you're going to be enslaved for the next 20 years and then you will have opportunities. It was different. And in what my commenter here, thank you for all of your comments, says here is, I think, the key to the problem. He is saying, in order to do this, previous comments, we were talking about how, women were raped, children were raped, people were beaten, they were starved. The treatment of the enslaved people was horrific. If the only thing that had been done is that they lost their freedom and were forced to work in terrible conditions, that alone would have been bad enough. But on top of all that, there was horrific treatment. Families were torn apart on purpose, because if you had your family with you, you were now more motivated to maybe do something about the situation, to maybe run away, to maybe revolt. So it wasn't uncommon to give birth and your baby's taken away, among so many other horrific things. But here, this comment is the key to why we still have issues. In order to have another human being in your possession that you allow that you either beat yourself, rape yourself, or allow to have that happen, you have to, in your brain, deem them subhuman. Because there really isn't another way to get around what's happening. If you in any way look at that human being as someone who's on par with you, who can really do that? Not the average person, and certainly not the numbers of people who behaved in such ways. So you had to, in your mind, consider the enslaved Americans now, but from Africa, the enslaved Black Americans, as subhuman, as on par with an animal. or below, frankly, because in many cases, animals were considered more valuable and therefore treated better. So that mentality is what continued post-slavery. That's why you could gather on Sundays in your best clothes in the 1930s and watch a lynching. Because these were not human beings in the minds of the people who were enacting this. So when I think about it like that, and I understand, because what I try to do is I try to understand, like, how did this happen? Like, how did other human beings, because I have a belief that inherently all human beings are good people. And minimally you have the opportunity to be good people, right? So when other things are happening, when the worst behavior is being put forth, how did that happen? And when you are told since the time you were born that these people, I know they look like people, I know they speak like people, I know they're helpful like people, I know they bleed like people, I know they cry like people, I know they love like people, but they're not really people. They're worthless. When you've been told that your whole life, of course we're going to have the racial problems that we have in this country. And we still have plenty of people alive and well who experienced a lot of these behaviors. People act like it was so long ago. It was not that long ago. It was within our many of our lifetimes. I was born in 1974. Civil Rights Act had been in for only 10 years. I mean, that's like, I could reach that, right? I mean, before that, it was completely legal to discriminate against a black person, against a woman. So it is recent history, and that's why we still have these problems. So when y'all tell me, get over it, y'all are living in the past. So if you just keep living in the past, you're never gonna move forward. No, these problems are still here. Now, what we did for a lot of years is suppressed it, right? Okay, we're gonna pretend like none of that happened, and okay, civil rights happened, okay, good. I guess we're all equal now. So, okay, and nobody talked about it. Then what a lot of you want to say is Obama got into office and now all of a sudden everything's racial again. Not true. All of the things were always happening, but some other things were brought to light. Like, we still have these injustices, but the injustices are far from new, and we still have to repair them, and we have a lot of work to do. So white people, if you're still here, and I doubt many of you have stayed, we're at 8 minutes, we have work to do. So let's get together and get some of this work done.
Hatred for black people is not an actual hatred for black people. What did black people do to be hated by the entire world? That's why I advocate on my page, you are wasting your energy trying to change the perception of black people. What did you do to these people in the first place? Whose people did we genocide? Whose country did we colonize? Whose nation did we burn down? The hatred for black people, internally and externally, comes from a binary understanding of humanity. And you want to know how I know this is true? Because most people who hate black people don't even know any black people. It's not that they hate black people, it's that they love white people and whiteness. And because black people and white people are opposites, the global admiration and worship that whiteness receives, by contraindication, what do you think is implied onto black people? Black people. Please tell me, how could anybody be the opposite of anybody else? What this country will tell you is that because this person likes apples and this person likes bananas, these two people exist as opposites. And that single rhetoric is what is the fuel for all of our conflict and our dehumanization. And it's the third video I talked about this. Look closely, you will see it everywhere around you. Good, bad, anti, pro, Republican, Democrat, black, white, man, woman. The binaries that are implied onto the consciousness of American people do not leave room for critical thinking or nuance. They play on your emotions and get you to quickly identify with an ally or enemy. Now, going back to the point of my video, That alone is the fuel for the anti-blackness that we see across the world. As long as whiteness as a concept exists, as long as whiteness is aligned with power, as long as whiteness is aligned with beauty, as long as whiteness is aligned with comfort, as long as we think African people are black before they are African, as long as we think Haitian people are black before they are African, as long as we think American African people are black before they are African, everything implied onto whiteness, you will receive the opposite of. As a human being, as a breathing, functional, sentient human being, you do not exist as opposites, counterparts, or a contradiction of any other human being, group, or community on this planet. The point is not to remove the beautiful history and culture that has been built upon our circumstances of being black in this world. But we must decentralize these binaries in our abundant human existence because they do not represent us, any of us.
So this is all I
Peace
got
out.
from this video, and the truth is that she talked about how they dress up from church straight up to where they go to do some certain things to people that look like me. The the truth is that they do not see us as them, all right? So for that reason, we are not good enough to stay or to leave. They are the ones that their lives matters. Even like, there are some certain things that we are also supposed to connect or like, think about each time we're talking about most of the things that happen to people that look like me. Because each time they talk about it's been long ago, the truth is that it has not been long ago. I mean, like the woman, she said she was born in 1970 something, and most of these things were happening back then, right? And now another thing is that during that period, they all dress up from church. So you can imagine people that go to church. Number one is that that's why most times I question Christianity, right? So from church, now before the lane and sheen happens, right? There used to be postcards, not just dressing up nicely, not just wearing their best clothes and like getting ready. They make postcards. And the postcards, you are going to see people that look like me on the postcard and what they are supposed to do. The truth is that some of them also go with their kids. So you can imagine the kids that experience that lane and chain, how their mentality or how their mindset, what do you think their mindset will be towards people that look like me? That is left for you to answer, right? So the postcard that they share around, now when they are done with the lane and sheen and everything all scattered and all that, you all remember that they also give souvenir to their own people, probably people that visited or people that came for the lane and sheen. They also give them souvenir, right, to take home. So what are the souvenirs that they are giving them? You should also know. These are the things that when you look at, when you think of, to tell you the kind of people you are dealing with. And that will also enlighten you more on how to handle them because it has not been long ago and it is still happening. There are some places people that look like me cannot go to, sundown towns. They are still very much existing. I remember engaging one of my friends on that. It was like, it's no longer there or no longer. I said, I know what I am saying. They are still very much alive. And I can count more than 5 to 10% from last year to this very moment that ended up in Sundown Town that did not come back, right? And some people that probably went out on field trip with their friends and ended up in the woods, ended up not coming back. Is that not modern lane and chin? What else do you need to know about it? Like the last young man said, you do not also need to ask questions. Why is it that these people do not appreciate us? These people do not like us, right? This is something you are supposed to know. But there is something that I have learned to understand, and this is something that I am running with. I am not looking for anybody's validation anymore. The only thing is that I am as woke as any other thing. My mind is woke, my eyes are woke, my ears are always woke, especially when I am dealing with them. Because if to choose not to be woke is as good as being dead. So what would stop you from being woke? Right? What would stop you from being woke? It's only them. They are the only ones that woke up and said that these people are not like, anyway, thank God, they know that they are not like us. And everything they do and all they want to do and all they want to see is to make sure that we do not raise our head above the water level. I hope you understand what I am saying. But in the end, we are winning and we will keep winning. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.